it has gone for. I mean, yes.
Good stuff.
Hey guys, welcome
Hello.
back.
It's been a long time since Stuart and Samuel at the Trekyards.
This is true. This is true.
Do you have
Well, welcome back.
Do you have hands wide open to the audience, or timber closed?
Timber's give. We're gonna give them a good show.
We're gonna timber you.
Oh my god, that sounded really bad.
And look,
Anyway,
Robert Picardo is judging us. He's judging my comment.
Yeah.
Sorry, Robert.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
What a great intro. You never know where they're gonna go. You know, no one knows.
Yep. Nope.
They went somewhere.
Well, today, guys, we're going to be talking about doctors. Talk about, the different attributes and who you'd rather have as a doctor and things like that. So it should be a fun discussion because there are quite a few doctors.
There's the Fifth
And-
Doctor, the Eighth Doctor, Tom Baker's Doctor, the War
Doctor Who?
Doctor. Yeah, Tom Baker and the War Doctor. Yeah.
But Doctor Who, what's their name?
Tom Baker.
Oh, that's the actor's name.
Oh,
That's the doctor that he plays name. Doctor Who.
yeah.
That fell flat.
Well, it's a joke. It's a 50-year-old joke, Stuart. What do you expect?
It's new to me, man.
Oh, babe.
My joke fell as flat as had as much energy on the delivery as I have right now. So
Oh,
maybe these doctors can cheer me up with a hyper spray.
I mean, analgesic cream.
Maybe.
If you played Elite Force, that solves everything.
Mm,
I don't know if
mhm.
you played that way. You get reference. But yes.
I don't know.
But we did this for commanding officers, which was a great Sylvia recommendation, I believe it was.
Yes.
And this is a doctor. I got some more images as with last time. A little bit of a different spread, and I think you'll be pleasantly pleased with the variety here. I found slightly more than. Because I want to be fair, even you mentioned a couple last time that I was right at the start. I was like, oh crap, I did forget about them. So this is kind of hopefully everyone's in there. And we had such a great, varied debate last time. It was really surprising. We'll see.
We asked ourselves questions that we never considered before about previous commands and things like that. So that might come up here. It was actually very, very good discussion last time. So who knows? We'll see. I have some immediate answers for certain things, and then I don't know if I'll be swayed at all by the end of the conversation. But
well, I think this one's probably a more debatable debate. I think second in command it was slightly more clean cut. I think this one's a bit more debatable.
Probably,
as in potentials. There are more of them on more even playing field than second in commands.
Yeah, I would say so.
But I will start sharing while you talk to people because I think it's gonna be a good one.
It will be a good one. And there's 39 of you here, guys, with 22 likes. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Don't forget, if you want to super chat, that is a great way to help us out. That'd be good hypo spray in the arm for us. Cheer us up. And we will read all those, of course. And if you want to help the channel on a monthly basis, you can click that join button down below. There is no rank for doctor, but there is, commander, captain, admiral, fleet admiral, and federation president. So, I mean, you could still be a commander and a medical officer. So that works out fine. So that's a good way to help us monthly, or head on over to Patreon/Trekyards, and you can. It's another monthly way to support us, or check out the links down below. There is the Teespring store and some other cool stuff down there as well. Discount codes and things you can check out. Links in the description of every video, so make sure you check those. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. Maybe we can get the solution of who would cure COVID first. I don't know. So I'm looking forward to hearing your comments and questions down below, just in the regular chat and also super chats if you're able to. That would be amazing. So yeah, there's a lot of varied debate about who's the best. I mean, some people just have their favorites. I've got like I said, some varying answers for a few of them. But yeah, we'll get into that. And have a good discussion. Hopefully you guys have some things to bring up as well, which you can contribute and help out the discussion, because we love talking about that kind of stuff. That's one of the things that makes this community great, is you guys being part of the conversation, chatting amongst yourselves and letting us know any facts that we don't know or things like that. So we're looking forward to hearing what you guys think. Can't really beat his results. Yeah. Well, we're going to get into the discussion in a second here. As soon as Samuel's done sharing, we will open up the floodgates of discussion. I'm just really low energy today, guys. Sorry. The last like hour and a half, 2 hours, I just kind of hit a brick wall and emotionally, physically, just not, there's no energy. So wish these doctors were here to maybe cheer me up. But we'll see. I have Canada Dry, so I mean, that's a good first step.
Hello.
All right. Hello. Hit that like button, guys. 49 people here, 33 likes. Hit the like button. All right.
So let's show the graphic, and let's remind everybody, the Doctors of Star Trek.
Dun, dun, dun.
Now, arguably, the bottom 5 are the main ones, or non-arguably, but there's more. What do you think of who I picked this week?
No, I thought of some of these two beforehand that we're going to have to mention. Although even the EMH Mark II crossed my mind, but I thought I wouldn't even include that. But Dr. Boyce definitely did. So did the lady from Discovery. And I could not remember, I still can't remember the cat lady's name from Lower Decks.
Yeah, me either. No, Talara, I think. I don't know, it's because I had to Google it. I think it's Talara or something like that.
Okay.
But Stuart, you can't throw away the thrombic modulator, man. Come on. He knows medical. Thrombic modulator. Come on. EMH Mark II. Remember?
I know.
Okay, good.
I
Good.
know.
You're like, idiot.
That's why I'm like, oof. Should have known you'd include him.
I wasn't. I just thought it made.
Oh,
he's
I know that you like the dick, so. The Andy dick.
Andrew Dickinson.
It's a joke we make quite often when we refer to this doctor. So.
I mean, my name's Cocking, so we would get on well. We'd stroke each other's ego.
Dear Lord.
But I would love to have been on that. I know that's obvious, but just to see those two actors play would have been. They should have done more with Andy Dick as the EMH Mark II. That I'm surprised they didn't bring him back. That'd have been such an obvious thing to bring back in DS9 once. Don't know why they didn't. Whatever. But I even got Boyce, his name, Dr. Boyce.
Dr. Boyce, yeah.
So it's pretty much everyone. And obviously,
which we might learn more about Dr. Boyce, obviously, from Strange New Worlds when it comes out. So.
Yes, it would be yeah. Could go either way on that.
Okay, I'm just gonna throw out some things right now for you.
Okay.
The two smartest doctors in the room, the doctor and Bashir. Boom. There's the smartest, most knowledgeable doctors for sure.
Right.
Best bedside manner. I'm going with Dr. Kolber,
right.
Dr. Pulaski actually, and Phlox, and Bashir. So far, I think Bashir's got the win for me because he's a nice guy, a little bit arrogant when you first get to meet him, but as a doctor, you want that. He's friendly, good bedside manner, and very, very, very smart. So I think Bashir is probably the winner for me as far as who I'd want taking care of me.
Okay.
Thoughts?
So tune in next week for the next Who is the Best. I agree with some of that. Obviously we did TNG season 2, so calling Pulaski best bedside manner feels odd until you've just rewatched season 2. But it's an interesting shout for sure. I would think Beverly had as good a bedside manner as I would think she would be up there. Phlox is super unique. Like, he's not Federation, which gives him, out of this entire list, he's so free to talk that, of course, is the best bedside manner. He's just a more able to talk guy. So it's almost kind of unfair.
Yeah, but his little menagerie of leeches and bugs and worms that go through your circulatory system. No, thank you. I'm no, thank you. I don't sure I like you, Phlox. No.
Well, it's like what Bones said about, you're still using leeches and whatever. In essence, he's so retro in the future that
Yeah.
And you couldn't put Phlox against any of these other people because his knowledge is so minimal compared to them. But that's just era.
But it's not Federation medicine. It's
Yep.
Denobulan medicine. So that's why you can
That
do
too.
these unorthodox things.
That
so
too.
yeah.
Well, it's like you wouldn't be able to put McCoy up there because he doesn't know the insides of a Klingon after being fighting Klingons for 20 years.
But he did know that this man is a Klingon.
That's because the Tricorder beamed a certain way, Stuart. Come on.
That's true.
He found Tyler Vox DNA all over. Oh my god, it's like what? But just because of the era he's in, it's like you couldn't argue Kolber was the smartest because they don't have the medical knowledge of the later ones. Almost by definition, the latest one will be the most advanced, just because they know the most and they've learned the most and they've refined the most. I think it's hard
and they're genetically engineered and/or a computer database.
Yes.
So
yeah, I mean, it's hard. I think it's hard to argue that the Doctor doesn't know, like, Bashir doesn't know as much as the Doctor because the Bashir also couldn't learn as far. The Doctor could literally download, the Vidian database into his brain. So I don't think you can argue he knows the most there, but that's not his knowledge is infinite. Andy Dick only didn't know as much because he didn't have the Delta Quadrant knowledge. So that's just because data. I keep on saying data. The Doctor's more advanced generally because he learned the extra skills. He evolved his program. Andy Dick is a vanilla version. So I think I would be hard pressed to argue that the Doctor didn't know the most. But again, that's an unfair fight. It's like which Doctor gets drunk the most? Obviously, Boyce. It's not a hard thing to fight. You just get every time he's drinking.
Yeah. And I got yelled at a few times in comments and just from friends messaging me. Obviously, McCoy is the best Doctor. It's like, how do you figure? Because he's the first and because you're a TOS fanboy. Okay, no. Yeah, McCoy's good and all, but he's gruff. He's an old-time country doctor. He's kind of a little abrasive. I don't know. Is not necessarily the best Doctor in my opinion. But I mean, everybody's got their favorites. Like I've heard people, saying Bashir or the Doctor or. I hate that he's called the Doctor because they're all doctors, but you know what I mean.
BMH.
Yeah. And Pulaski, I didn't like her for a long time, and then we watched season 2 again, and she really grew on me. And going back and watching a few episodes like that I have since then, she's actually really, really good. That second half of that season, they really refined that character to the point where she's really likable, and then she's just gone, which is a shame. But her Pulaski chicken soup, the way she talks to the patients, she's got a fantastic bedside manner. I wouldn't want to be her commanding officer because she's a little bit back-talky, but that's the McCoy analog there. The same kind of gruffness and so.
And briefly, James McGill has a wonderful comment. Seeing this list. Looks like Captain Foley and Commander Cockings are part of the list.
There you go.
That is great.
We got a lot of super chats. Let's get to those real quick and get those done. All right. Sean O'Sullivan, €2.
Hey.
I'm a doctor, not a Galfarian tenant for life. Right. McDoyle, $5. Cheer up, you sad sacks. Being assimilated would probably cure the COVID. Jesus. Yeah, I was saying when you were sharing which one of these doctors would cure COVID first, and go. Ozzy Maderos, $5.
Oh dear.
Superior Commander, you forgot Dr. Mark Pipe. TOS before Bones, Federation President, Skeleton Hands, okie dokie. He was in Where No Man Went before. He was he didn't make an impact at all, Ozzy, but good shout out, and it's Dr. Piper.
I didn't even know there was a doctor in that. I'll be honest. I thought we didn't have one. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is dumb, because obviously... Although people haven't got Dr. Matumba, if that's his name. But he's a...
Yeah. Well, he's not the head doctor.
Yeah. So...
I mean, Kolber isn't either, though.
Well,
so.
But according to the memory alphas, neither is the other lady, even though she clearly is. They're a confusing... They don't care.
Yeah.
They just whatever.
Yeah.
There's no chief engineer, no chief medical officer, no chief tactical officer.
It's just a ship of we don't care, go.
Yeah, just fight Klingons.
George Mangrum, $2.
George.
Left out the Enterprise EMH. No, he's there.
I did consider which one to use picture-wise, but
you just put a picture of a doorstop in there somewhere.
That's good. I like that. That's good. Yeah, I like that.
Sergeant Montgomery, $5. Phlox, because he has a sick bay full of strange creatures like the Mad Doctor. Plus, he served as a medic in the Denobulan infantry. He's a hypospray stim. Here's a hypospray stim. Thank you so much for the stim. Appreciate that. Yeah, but Denobulan infantry, big deal, I guess. I don't know. I just don't like the menagerie of creatures he has, because that's... I get what they were going for. You got to be accepting of new things and new ways of doing things, and that's great, but the thought bothers me. Having like worms going through my system to clean shit up and whatever, it bugs me so much.
Bugs you.
But yes. I didn't even think about that. Goddamn. I'm rubbing off on you, Samuel, unfortunately. Captain Chili Bean at $5. Whomever is your favorite, I think most would agree that the Doctors in every series are some of the most interesting and compelling characters. Just taking a look.
I mean, that's a pretty...
I would somewhat agree. Yeah, we'll get into that when we get into the discussion, because some of them I think they're very interesting as far as...
There is the caveat that unlike all the other characters, there's a lot of mystery disease of the week, and so the Doctor gets a lot of time relative to other characters. Always have, clearly. And so they get more to do, and if they get more to do, they tend to shine more. If they shine more, you tend to give them more, even more. Makes it, it helps. So, yeah.
Just for the record, I would not want to be a doctor in Starfleet, nor an engineer. Having to think on your feet like that and have all those, have lives, your responsibility. I mean, yeah, a captain definitely has lives, but he can tell the engineer, I want this done in 2 minutes. It's going to take 2 hours. I don't care, 2 minutes. So I don't know. Doctor was one of the least enviable positions for me anyway, for Starfleet. So there's so much different variety of diseases and everything out there that it would just be, you'd have to want to solve puzzles. That has to be your thing to be a doctor, to do that. So Danny Shields, €5. Haven't been able to be here for Alive in ages. Have a pint on me, lads. Well, thank you very much, Danny. Very appreciated. Good. Glad you could make it.
We have Black Doctors.
And Devo77 says, any love for Tiana? Is that the cat? Tiana?
I think so. Maybe.
Dictation?
Yes, Tiana. Yes.
Well, we don't know her well enough.
Yeah.
She's maybe had, 5 lines through all of Lower Decks?
Weirdly underused, given how bizarrely specific. And also in the pilot, she has way one appearance in the pilot.
Yeah, well...
Do you want my gut reactions then?
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought they're just gonna... Okay, yeah, go.
You just said yours. I just said about the Doctor being the most... He's the most... the Doctor EMH is the most knowledgeable. I would say Bashir is very well rounded, although bedside manner less so. I think Beverly is clearly the most qualified because she's on the flagship. And she was head of Starfleet Academy when she went off away, and then she left to be Starfleet whatevering. And she's obviously had a prestigious career, and she takes it so relaxed that she knows she's good at her job. And she saved the crew of the Enterprise a lot. So I think professionally, she's probably she's the one who would be head surgeon. Bashir wouldn't be, but Bashir's more of a go out on an adventure. But that's just personality quirks. For me, the Bones is the whole point. He's a country doctor. He's very good at what he does, but he's a well-rounded guy. But he doesn't do that much creative thinking to the extreme. I would not associate that with him, whereas Phlox and Bashir certainly. But they weren't being given as many big creative weird things in TOS, in the doctoring side, quite as much. Again, 3 seasons, 7 seasons, so as much is also relative to how many episodes they had, etc. He was there for other things a lot of the time. But the fact he also got on, the Doctor on one of the 12 best ships of the fleet does tell you how impressive he is as a Doctor. But also maybe that's because he likes Kirk, etc. Pulaski is surprisingly good. Also, we wish we knew more about the other Discovery person who is there.
Mm-hmm.
Culber's good, but barely as a doctor, really, in the abstract. Barely acts.
He seems more like a counselor almost.
Yeah, or like a surgeon that never surges. You know, he doesn't feel like a general practitioner doctor that's like there. Like he doesn't feel like anyone else. Ever really. I never like the vibe of the Cage guy. I don't know what they were going for exactly. Probably like an army doctor from the olden days, but doesn't fit in space or in that show. Hence why it was removed. But he doesn't fit very well. Stands out like a real sore thumb in that pilot for me.
He's a product of the time,
which shouldn't have been the case because they're not at the time.
I know, but that's why they also said he's more like a bartender. I mean, you can tell him things.
Which is fine,
but kind of gruff and wise and old, and just tells it like it is.
Doesn't do any medicine though.
Well, no, he doesn't in that. No, absolutely not.
So he doesn't feel like a doctor so much as a dude. So there you go. Those are my sort of gut reactions. Yeah,
that's good. I mean, McCoy, you're right. McCoy only had 3 seasons. Didn't have a lot to do medically. There was a few episodes, and then in the movies, he's like treating phaser blasts to Klingons, and the guy dies anyway. I don't know. He's more of a there's no real creative problem-solving virusy things that he really has to deal with.
Like there is a couple. Don't get us wrong. Like he does a few well, but not like too many.
Usually he's just kind of there, and he's not utilized as much as he could have been, but in the movies and stuff. So,
and I love that you said that he's there in the movies as a character, not as a doctor. Really, especially since he's integral to the Spock trilogy by being a vessel for Spock. He ain't doctoring in 3 and 4.
Yeah.
So that's 2 of the 6 movies, and he fails miserably in 6 and becomes the sidekick best friend.
And he also fails in Star Trek 2. Scotty's nephew dies.
Yep, and he also the only successful surgery he does is the torpedo in Star Trek 6.
Badoom.
Literally, badoom. But he's such a memorable character, but not for the doctoring, which again I hadn't really considered until you said all that. And Stuart, as he always says, he's a doctor, not a bricklayer, but really he's a McCoy, not a doctor, in a sense.
That's good.
But I would put him closer on the spectrum to the Discovery lady. They doctor, okay. But I wouldn't consider them being very creative in their field. And I'm getting close to Culber, who does more not doctoring than doctoring. Like he's there, like Culber's there to be with Stamets. He's not really there to be a doctor. McCoy is there to be the confidant of Kirk and the foil for Spock. Yeah. He's not necessarily there to be a doctor all the time. So whereas everyone else is a very doctor. Phlox is a doctor. He is doctoring the shit out of you.
Yeah, Culber definitely has the vibe of more of a specialist of some kind or a counselor.
Yeah.
He's got that very friendly, like the way he talks to people, he's very calming.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure specifically that he's a general practitioner or just a doctor. I think, like you said, a surgeon, something that's more specialized, because he's not the CMO. He's not the chief medical officer. We never really get an indication of what he specifically is. So,
well, I like counselor. That is his entire role in season 3, which is great. He serves it well. But that's because the actor can talk well, and he can do technobabble. He's okay with that. But he's a nebulous kind of just does doctoring. It's like saying with Boyce, but again, he had 1 episode.
You know who we forgot?
Oh no, who?
Dr. Girardi from Picard.
Oh,
the murder doctor.
Which is a doctor of cybernetics, so not the same kind of doctor. Sorry, bud. Yeah. Was there a doc? Yeah, no, we did forget one. We forgot the Doctor hologram in Picard. He's actually a doctor.
Was it a Rios?
Yeah, a Rios doctor. Yeah, the English one.
But he didn't do anything.
He did. In the first episode, replicates a bottle of vodka to pour on the wound, and he sews him up.
Oh yes, yeah, that's right. He does do some stitching.
But he's actually a doctor. And actually holograms.
Fair.
3 holograms on the list. Which is so stupid.
Kyle Wong, 5 pounds.
Hey.
Tig Notaro isn't a doctor, but really liked her. She's an engineer.
I did consider her for a second because she kind of gives off that vibe, but she's absolutely not a doctor. And that's why someone said Doctor Solar earlier. It's like, I'm not including one-off extras that come in from another ship, obviously.
Yeah.
You know?
Fair enough. Matthew K, $5. If you need someone to shoot you up, then McCoy is your man. Other than that, no thanks. He seems to be confused about every aspect of his job. Wow, that's a harsh statement. Yeah, he's very to the point. Like, that's what I mean. Bedside manner for McCoy? No. Like, yes, you see him being friendly occasionally, but overall, you would just hear him in the next room because of the way the sickbay is laid out, just bitching and complaining and whining about something, being gruff and miserable. So, not exactly who I'd want looking after me, honestly. But Alistair says Girardi is a doctor of cringe and bad humor. James McGill, $5. Voyager and DS9 docs have best character growth. Yes. Lower Decks and Enterprise doctors are enjoyable characters. Yes. Bones is the real McCoy. I knew somebody was going to make that joke.
You can't argue it.
And has best one-liners that never gets old. He's dead, Jim.
Well, it's like, out of all of them, which ones would you want to hang out with? Who would you want to go for chicken wings with? Not because you're intrigued, but because you actually think you can get on with them as friends.
Okay, Dr. Kolber.
Okay.
Phlox. Phlox
Okay.
would be just a joy to be around. Crusher, but for other reasons. Bashir. And that's probably it. How about you? Who would you want to go out for a night on the town with?
Assuming they were like younger versions of everyone, not like the old versions, as in like 30s or 40s. I think Bashir, McCoy would be. I think we 3 would be fun, as a not a bro squad, but I think that could be quite fun. Like to see them bicker, the young energy with the old energy with my energy would be quite fun. I mean, Crusher's welcomed. I mean, Crusher felt she was quite wild in her youth. As in, like, and Colber's good in every situation. I don't know if we have as much in common, personally. Like, same with Phlox. I don't know if I would... So, yeah, I would definitely add McCoy on there. But like I say, it's like a younger McCoy. Yeah. But, they've got interesting personalities. I think they'd all be interesting to have, like, a drink with. Like, all of them. Like, you can imagine Pulaski has a lot of stories, you know?
Yeah. Okay, I don't know what's happening in the chat. Paul is removing a lot of comments and hiding, or this sometimes happens because his kids get a hold of the phone. So I hope that's.
I mean, none of these.
If there's
seem to
any
be
other
problems.
moderators there, could they like help out with that and fix the situation? Because I really don't have time.
Yeah, none of these are things.
So if your message got deleted or whatever, don't worry, we'll get that fixed.
Okay, I think I unhid. Yeah, I unhid Eugene because that's weird.
Well, yeah, I don't know why. Sorry, guys. Hold on a second. I just got to talk to the moderating chat.
Well, put us in the chat right now then. Which doctor would you most want to go to have a drink with? A bar drink? I want to know, guys.
Yeah, let us know who you'd want to hang out with and why. It'd be great. All right, good. Matt's here. Matt, if you could correct all those, that'd be great. Anybody that was hidden, please unhide them because. All right. Probably Bashir, says Ryan. I don't drink, so no one. Oh, come on, that's.
You can have prune juice. Come on, a drink is a drink.
Yeah.
I also want to clarify as well, like, there's actually two Bashirs. There's young him and there's stingy, I'm superior him. I would not want to hang out with superior him. He's not fun. Younger him, middle him. And probably like older Beverly, because she gets more, she gets more developed older, as in like later TNG, rather than, nothing wrong with younger Crusher, just, more free, etc.
The Kelvin McCoy. Oh, well, you didn't put him in here, but it's still McCoy.
That was it.
He's basically like embodies everything that DeForest Kelly did. So
as soon as you start like saying, well, which one's better? It's like, well, they're the same character. Like, they're actually more similar than you think. That's the point. He did a good job.
Yeah. So a lot of people are saying the EMH Bashir Phlox. Bashir Phlox McCoy.
Yeah.
Mm.
The Doctor from Star Trek says he's brilliant. It's a girl alien. It's a girl voice actress. We assume girl alien. Dancing Doctor. Yeah. Well, who was the most talented in their era? Because that also limits it a little bit.
Well, see, that's the thing. Bashir and Voyager, they're the Doctor are contemporaries, so they're both like the best of the best. Like, honestly, it'd be good to see a Doctor off between them, see if who would win. Like,
It's tricky because I think Bashir exists in TNG as well concurrently. But I do think young Bashir is beaten by older Crusher in terms of knowledge, but also older Bashir is beaten by EMH. So Bashir, just because of the nature of the two eras he's in, actually gets beaten by both. Just if you subdivide it that way. Because he definitely was not as experienced by anywhere near in season 1 or 2, and that's when Beverly would be in. But certainly McCoy is much more talented than Bryce. What thought his name?
Dr. Boyce.
Boyce, damn it, close. But I guess it really is. Well, I mean, I guess that wasn't really a conversation. There is not many eras to have. But I mean, I guess how talented were they in their eras? I mean, I feel like Phlox doesn't feel like, I feel like any Vulcan Doctor worth his salt is much better than Phlox. It's just he offered to do it. Like, I'm sure there are also better medical doctors on Earth. He just knows alien stuff more. Like, he's not absurdly talented. He just happens to be the guy that wanted to do it. Like, I feel like Beverly isn't the best out there with her era, but she knows Picard. Picard wants someone he knows and can trust. She's in the top 20, but there's definitely people better than Beverly. Just she's also very good. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but like you made a good point earlier with her being on the flagship.
Yep.
And then being shipped off to be head of Starfleet Medical for a year, and then changing her mind and going back to the flagship again. She's the best of the best as far as that's concerned.
There's a difference between being actually the best at medicine and the best at leading medicine, because she also leads a medical ship, Pasteur, because she can clearly lead a team very well. Like, you don't just want the best doctor in charge of the doctor school. You need more skills than just being the best doctor. So I can imagine she's better at being a leader, at being able to deal with situations, at being calm under pressure. Hence why they pick her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would definitely buy that. Sure.
But Bashir's weird because we know he was holding back. So he wasn't the best when he started because he was trying not to be, which is that fun little caveat there.
But honestly, that's when he was an asshole. Nobody liked him in the first little while because he was gruff. I didn't even like the character at first.
Bashir?
Yeah.
Oh, I consider him an arsehole and later. I think he's just over enthusiastic in the first 3 seasons. I think I'm an absolute arsehole in the second bit. Really?
No, he definitely grew on me over time. He was not very likable at first. I had the same reaction to him that O'Brien did, essentially. Like, not really that big a fan of him for a while, and then all of a sudden, like, yeah, this guy's awesome. So,
yeah, I just take it because people don't like his boyish enthusiasm, which I find charming because you know exactly what he's trying to be, which then gets confusing when he's revealing he's lying the entire time, which kind of muddies it a little bit. But you know, it's like when I think of this list, my brain goes to Dax because those two feel intertwined in their science and medicine. But she's not a doctor, but she almost has that vibe in the show as well, which is like annoying because they're kind of almost a twosome. Yeah.
Let's get to some super chats here, though. Ensign Ricky, $2. Sometimes you just need to slap a bitch. McCoy. Ow.
Was not prepared for that.
Not a banned account. $2. Dr. Pulaski, educated, smart, no nonsense doc. Yes, absolutely.
Sorry, who said that?
That was not a banned account. A super chat.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Pulaski is a doctor you'd want in your corner, pushing for the best needs of her patient, which is you. She's like one of those asshole lawyers that you absolutely hate until you need a good fucking lawyer. Then you get them because they're a bulldog. That's exactly what she is. She will do anything to make sure that her patients get the best treatment. And the other doctors, yes, they will also argue that, but I don't know. She's got a little bit of a charm and a bite at the same time. And as far as being a patient, you're seeing her bedside manner. And if you want to go hang out with her as not a patient, I'm sure she's super friendly outside the, like we saw her hanging out in 10 Forward a few times. And she seems super nice. It's just there's odd occasions where she's professional mode that you just don't want to mess with her.
Yeah, her reputation is undeserved. And even my memory of her changes until you really have to think back to the actual episodes themselves. Like, oh no, she wasn't. I like that the bulldog thing. I think I would probably compare her in a sense to the EMH. The EMH, if he wasn't a hologram, right, he would also be blunt enough to say, no, my patient needs this over your wishes. Fortunately, he can get turned off, which makes that a bit moot. So Pulaski can't get turned off. And I also think that there's a slight context. I think, if remind me or tell me if I'm wrong, I think when they introduce her, she's introduced as she could take any assignment in the fleet, and she picks here because she thinks it'll be fun in a sense, whereas she's sort of more qualified for it.
No, sort of right. She's super qualified. The captain that had her would have done anything to keep her.
Yes.
But she found out there was a position opening on the Enterprise. Yeah. She had studied Picard's career, and she was not taking no for an answer. She wanted to get that assignment. For some reason, she was very interested in Picard. That was never fleshed out. And they did butt heads a lot until Picard found that out, essentially. But we never got closure on that, why she wanted to go. But yeah, she was qualified enough that when the flagship position opened, she was over there, even though the captain that she was with would have done anything to keep her. So definitely qualified to be there for sure.
Yeah, I got the vibe that she could write her own ticket because she had a certain success rate that was like, wow, okay. But also I feel like she's she's older than you would associate. Like, she's older than Beverly or Bashir, and probably older than McCoy at the time.
I would say, yeah.
It's hard to say, but I would associate about the same or older. So it feels like she probably isn't being promoted because she's hard to work with, but her technical ability gets her the ticket she can write, but they can't promote her because she doesn't deal well in those authority situations. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So she should or could be like top-ranking medical person at that age, but she really, like Mariner, she really can't be at the same time.
And she was also a specialist. She wrote a couple of papers and stuff on genetics and things like that. Because you're the Dr. Pulaski that wrote the blah, 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 blah. That was a long time ago, she said. So, yeah, she's definitely,
like, her bedside manner keeps her back in her career, but her skill also writes her an open ticket. So it's a weird combination. Whereas everyone else, let's not say bows to the peer pressure of it, but Beverly is a team, like I said earlier, she's a team player. She'll work with you, she'll override you, but she actually wants to work. Pulaski will override your own feelings. She doesn't want to work with you, she wants to save you. Even if they both have the same saving, Crusher is more about making you well mentally and physically. Pulaski will just do whatever she has to do anyway. Do you agree? Come up and balance?
I would agree, yes.
Okay. Yes. And these are good things. These are good things. It's like, as you had said, you want someone that will save you at the end of the day. So these aren't bad things. They're just different things, which is good. Distinct character.
Yes. Anton Smith puts in $2.
Hey.
Dr. Benyun from Picard's Stargazer. Benyun.
Oh, the guy with the white hair. Okay. The guy that.
From
In,
Picard. Yeah. Well, we don't know anything about him, unfortunately. So, yeah. Eugene, 1,000 rubles. Second. Oh, Dr. Solar. Yes. Susie Plaxton. I totally agree. We need to see more of her character. Got more Susie Plaxton, obviously, but Dr. Solar she was good in that episode. Very, very Vulcan-like. Sergeant Montgomery, $2. The Kelvin McCoy is the real McCoy. Ha! Oh, that's just disrespectful. Ozzy Medeiros, $5. Bones to Spock. Shut up, Spock. We're rescuing you. Yes. Super Captain Foley, Commander, Federation President. Skeleton Sands, okie dokie. Thank you, Ozzy. Yeah, I mean, they've all had really great lines. And I think all of them at some point have said, I'm a doctor, not a whatever. Except for Dr. Boyce.
Yeah. I wonder why.
But yeah, everybody else has probably said something along those lines. So
maybe not Phlox. I probably said something that means the same, but in a different way because it was earlier.
I'm sure he said it at least once.
Okay.
I'm sure he has. But
yeah,
let us know, guys, if any of them haven't said I'm a doctor, not a whatever. I mean, even Andy Dick did, for Christ's sakes. Yes. The lady from Discovery probably hasn't.
No, I wouldn't. She had enough lines, but he did.
But
I think he did last season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So yeah, your turn to throw some stuff out then, Stuart. I had the last little bit.
See, I wouldn't have included Andy Dick because I wasn't even sure that the program was finished, because he's definitely not trained for command. He doesn't have the experience that the Doctor has. He's probably a fantastic doctor, but on the experimental prototype ship, which was it finished? Was it a finished program? Didn't he say that his programming isn't even complete yet? I don't even remember.
Hasn't been tested. Hasn't been tested
in the field.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's done, but I mean they're always going to tweak it. It's the same thing as the EMH and Voyager. Like that was one of their first test cases. This was actually his first test case, but
Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't have included him on the list. Tiana, we don't know anything about her either. Like she's kind of disgusting as a doctor, honestly. Here, hold this. Keep squeezing it. Like
a disregard for the values of bedside manner when it comes to
Yeah, and what if she sheds and gets hair in the patient, and then it gets like all infected?
Well, doesn't she have a hairball once as well? I think there's a whole.
I think so. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Again, don't know enough about her to really talk about her too extensively here.
Well, shall we be honest though? Despite the difference in relative character status, Andy Dick and her feel similar in lack of because he got a lot of lines in his episode, and she got not a lot of lines in 10 episodes. Would you consider them very similar in terms of the amount we know? I kind of would actually. Now you've said all that.
I feel like we know the Andy Dick guy a lot better. The MH Mark II.
I was trying to be generous to her, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I was trying to be generous.
Yeah. We just know she's gruff, kind of unorthodox, and she had a thing for Shreks. So.
I mean, is she even talented? She's on the Cerritos, a low tier ship. So she's already not. She's not high end, and that would also probably also explain why she's disregarding. Like she's there to do medicine, but she almost. Oh God. She always feels like in a Chinatown, a back alley doctor who's going to sew you up with a spleen from a cat or a tortoise. Like no, not the dark version, but just this will work. It's fine. Because we don't necessarily see her do too much big medicine, and even the bit at the start of the first episode with the zombies, it was actually it wasn't, but it was it was simple. It wasn't like it was just this thing equals this. That was the whole point, but it wasn't like anyone here could do that. Literally. Yeah. It wasn't by itself a skillful act.
Yeah. She never had a chance to shine.
No.
And I mean, I'm sure there'll be an episode probably focusing a little more on her, hopefully in season 2, but unfortunately, like I said, some of these haven't had a chance to shine.
But I still included them because last time we got not told off, but
Yes.
I had to put Pill back in. So I thought, like, you don't think of him, but he was a full doctor, qualified, capable. Logistically, I want to include him just for the sake of a more complete fitting list, and to compare what different vibes we have for doctors. Because there are only so many full doctors, and this is basically them.
Yeah, that's true.
But,
And Dr. Boyce, I wish we got to know him a little bit better. But like I said, Strange New Worlds is coming out. There's been call to have Jeffrey Combs play him because they look quite similar now. And Combs has expressed an interest in it, so that would be a win-win-win for everybody if they did that. But yeah, we got to get more of his backstory because you're right. He didn't really fit the era that they were. Well, we didn't know anything about the era because it was the first show. So, but this was filmed in the 60s, right after the Korean War and stuff like that. So yeah, I could see them based him on an old medical or an army doctor.
Yeah.
And very gruff, very to the point, very that counterbalance to the captain. Strong-headed, strong-willed captain. You need a doctor that's going to say no. Kind of like a father figure almost, or a confidant. Again, learning a little bit more about him would be fantastic. But the fact that he makes him a drink and says, some people will tell their bartenders things that they'll never tell their doctor. He's got that kind of friendly sit down and learn about you kind of feel to him. So again, just hopefully Strange New Worlds does him justice. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm really torn because he feels very, very specific. I feel like it would make sense in Strange New Worlds to have an episode where Boyce comes back onto the ship having not been there for the 9 months between Cage and that season, and then Pike's like, "Boys, it's so good to see you." "Yes, Captain, it's good to be back." "Well, I'm sorry to leave because of X, Y, and Z." "Me too." And then doing something really clever. Like, I felt that would be a great vibe to give him a real like swan song moment. Because I don't know if he's worth it as a character to really be in the show. I feel like literally any character's better that you could develop fresh. Be an alien, an Andorian doctor. You know what I mean? There's so many possibilities that having him as doctor is very plain and one-dimensional. Like, I wouldn't want a Bones McCoy as a doctor either. Like, I want something different and interesting.
But you can see that Boyce's character basically became McCoy.
Sure.
They're both older. They're both kind of gruff to the point. So it was just that.
Yeah.
They didn't want to bring that character back. So.
But that's another reason why they shouldn't or wouldn't do that, because they don't want to replicate McCoy for a fourth time. Especially in a show that's meant to be the setting for McCoy. So just don't do that.
Yeah, but we didn't see enough of Boyce, and an actor like Jeffrey Combs could go from what he's got there and make him not McCoy-like. You know what I mean? Like,
and as we saw with Pike does not feel like Pike from the Cage, because that's post-Cage where he's had a new lease on life. It's hard to put those two actors together so they feel the same. They really don't, on purpose. No. So you have another big life transformation. Sure, I get it, but and certainly Jeffrey Combs, but I think more fun just to bring him as a guest star for 1 or 2 and be like, for fans, my old friend Dr. Boyce that I've known for 30 years, here he is for 1 week, yay! It becomes an event.
Concurrent viewers, 108 people here.
Yes.
Awesome. Likes 78. I think we can do better. I think we can get 100, guys. Hit that like button. We can do this.
Yeah, really. I mean, I want to see at least 85 right now. I'm going to be honest. Click that like right now. Right now.
He'll find you.
Wow.
Eugene, 250 rubles. Ooh. Speaking about real doctors, young-looking Bashir in First Contact uniform is probably not Bashir, but a changeling. Really?
I mean, I haven't got him in this. Yes, there is also fake Bashir. Well, there's actually 2 fake Bashirs, isn't there? Because doesn't he... Is there a season 1 Bashir where he's also a fake? No, I don't know.
No, not a fake, but he becomes possessed by... Wow, what the hell's the guy's name now? He has so much fun in that role of... Vantika. He becomes Vantika. And he steals the ship. Vantika. He goes like over the top, like bad guy. Anyway, Matt Boardman, $5. Solar got some good development in the book series New Frontier by Peter David. One of those that I wish would have become a film series. I never read any of the New Frontier stuff. Looking at it, I probably should because the captain's got a sword, and I think it's an ambassador class as well. I think it'd be something that I'd really be into, but I don't even know if I think I have one of the hardcover books for that, so I haven't actually got into it. But yeah, if Solar's in there, that's cool. Like I love that the side characters get the chance to shine in the beta canon in the novels because it's just like this Star Wars expanded universe. Just I never got into all the books, so
Yeah.
Yeah. And Phlox not being Starfleet was a good choice. It was the medical cultural exchange or whatever. It was like a short stint with them, but I thought that was a fantastic idea. Definitely, and especially considering it's a series going out and exploring new things like for the first time. What a great way to introduce other cultures to different medical techniques and things like that. So him using the animals that he had and that being part of his deal, feeding these little things and whatever, was fantastic. And just the reaction of the crew, like, that's going to do what? Because I'd be the same way. I'd be like, either you got to be able to do the other things, right?
Well, he's the sort of guy that you put a Vulcan doctor in would be better and probably quicker at the basic medicine, but would not have the creative inspiration as a Vulcan to think outside the box. So yes, technically a better doctor and probably knows his stuff or her stuff generally better, but Phlox can fire those neurons to connect the pieces to invent medicine. I mean, there's the sad fact that he manages to work out how to kill nanoprobes and no one else can.
Ugh, that's annoying.
Yeah, kind of makes him the best doctor in that respect. He is able to defeat the Borg in a technical sense, and they also first contact Borg, so they're like as advanced as they get. Sorry, just saying that. But he's definitely very, very creative. But obviously, the issue being everyone else has more knowledge. I would probably assume that in some like a Doctor Off, the EMH is a very he's not out of the box. He literally is a box the size of a computer. So he's cross-referencing, but he's not going to be as like actually creative as Phlox conceptually.
Yes, yeah.
And the gut reaction Phlox has tends to be right. That's just the conceit of the story. But the EMH will not necessarily always take those gut reactions because they're more based on probabilities on the algorithm. And I would argue Bashir, in a similar vein, he's looking at things from a genetically modified perspective, which is a very specific, slightly more arrogant, slightly more like it's not, having the alien brain, the alien vibe, the alien uniqueness of Phlox gives him that really broader perspective that Bashir doesn't. And so I think Phlox is probably more creative as a doctor. He just wasn't blessed with the bigger knowledge base of science. If he was a post-TNG and you did a Doctor Off, I bet Phlox would come up with an even more weirdly clever idea than even Bashir would. But Bashir might come up with a more genius idea, just a less out of the creative idea.
I kind of disagree with you on that. I think Dr. Phlox would go with the simple, holistic medicines and things like that. It was still creative, like thinking outside the box as far as, like I said, using animals or plants or something simple. Bashir is also just as creative and intelligent, but he'd go very complex, like create a new virus that'll whatever, you know what I mean? Like he would go more of the scientific approach, and I think Phlox would go more with the holistic kind of thing. Both might get the same results. Both are very original thinking.
Yeah.
Those two working together would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But that's why I think Bashir and the Doctor are a good Doctor Off, because yes, the Doctor has a complete database full of all of the medical texts and everything. Bashir has an excellent memory as well. Not as good, obviously, not as easily to upload new information. But I think Bashir is a more creative thinker because of the genetic enhancements and improvements.
But that's again another algorithm. If the Doctor knows literally 45,000 medicines than Bashir, creativity is one thing, but the Doctor can pull from more things to pull a more ingenious solution together. You can't beat a computer with knowledge of everything. The data can't think of things where the computer can, even though that's data.
Even the Doctor needed help, though. He got the help from the one Cardassian doctor, when B'Elanna had the parasite attached to her, because that guy was a specialist in that kind of thing. So even though that information was in the database, he still needed the help, the creative inspiration from the other doctor to kind of get things rolling on that front. So,
but that obviously was a exception that proves the rule. As a great example, but that doesn't happen most times. But that's also a story conceit of he's just always the yeah. No, that's a great point. Translating data into actual workable things. But although to be fair, that it was half and half. It wasn't the fact of getting the Cardassian guy. It was also letting him experiment, which Doctor wasn't willing to do.
Oh, they didn't let him experiment. He already did the experiments, which killed people, and the knowledge he gained from those experiments.
I don't mean that. I mean the Doctor wouldn't have recreated the alien on the holodeck to cut into it. The Cardassian said we need to do that to practice.
Oh yes.
And so that was so they took a more real. He didn't do those, so it was a different approach, which the Doctor wouldn't think to do because he's not going to physically recreate. So it was just a different way around things. Which I think you could argue I love him pointing even though no one can see. McCoy, I think, is also would be an experimentative Doctor. If you're going on that sort of level, I think Beverly would be less experimental. I think she would, in the same way of Bashir, she would look at the database, see what's been tried before, what can I utilize, what can I think outside the box. But I feel like McCoy would say, "Oh, I've got an idea. Let's do this." And I was like, "What?" It's like, "Yeah, it's gonna go great. I'll experiment." And just kind of does it, and often works. What do you think?
It's interesting.
More that Phlox vibe of creativity. Like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna press something. Whereas Beverly's more like Bashir.
Yeah, and you would think that a lot of these doctors actually use a lot more of the holodeck to try things like that, but
yeah,
I mean the holodeck can only do what it can do because it's got the information in it, so you can't really get an accurate result all the time. So
because otherwise you can just say computer run this simulation. It's the exact same amount of,
Paul Graham throws in $5.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
everyone, my phone got splashed with water and had a seizure. You can so turn Pulaski or anyone off. Just turning her back on afterwards is problematic. What? That confuses me a little bit. But thank you, Paul. Yeah, sorry about the water thing, but Captain Chili Bean at $5. My list: Bashir, EMH, Crusher, McCoy, Pulaski, Phlox, Culber, and the rest. Depends on, like, is that the order you'd want them treating you as if you were the patient in? Or is that the order you want them if you were the captain? Like, there's different ways to look at this. Like I said, when I started out, it's like most intelligent and most creative, and then there's also like best bedside manner, friendliest. So there's different categories, but thank you, Chili Beaner, for the list. Hologram lives matter. And yeah, Picardo is also Laura's dad in Orville. Yes, he is. I think, was it Phlox in that episode as well? Yeah.
These are neighbors, yeah. Well, neighbors / assassins.
Yeah.
It was great. Good episode.
Doctor's reunion.
It was. We'll go back to Culber for a second. He feels like again, the Discovery is very specific. It was an experimental ship for travel that was co-opted by a mirror universe madman who picked his crew based on people he knew from his universe that he knew could manipulate. So he is not the best at anything because that's not what he's there for. He knows it's because the other guy knew him. And we saw him in the other universe, he was a bit more vicious, etc. Right? So that puts all the where he is and why he's there out the window. He's just lucky he's there with Paul. That's a good happenstance, whatever. In the episodes, I remember, and it's also because of the technology of Discovery, he uses the scanners and relies on readouts a lot more, it feels like to me. When I think of his scenes, he's always like, well, the scanner says this, I think this. He doesn't do as much creative thinking by a long way, and doesn't really do any diseases, because that's not the episodes they told. He's a guy that scans, says, oh, I think this maybe. But there's not really that, like, he's an A to B equals C doctor, whereas everyone else kind of has that creative flair. I would not give him that flair, I'll be honest. I would not associate with him.
Well, because of the storytelling nature of Discovery and the serialized arc, we didn't get any creativity from him, like you said. I mean, he's died and come back. I mean, that's a good thing for a doctor. How many other doctors have died here? None. All right, cool.
Well, I mean, what's his name? I think he had a dead guy in his brain or his soul. Yeah. But McCoy.
Oh well, yeah, Katra. Hologram, $2. Turn off equals stun, knockout, kill. Okay. No, I actually like Cobra. I wish he'd get more time, because he's a really nice guy, and I think he goes into professional mode pretty well. He can be like friendly and talkative, and then the next second it's like, now I'm your doctor, which is exactly what a doctor needs, and most of these have that for sure. But I really want to see more of him coming up, hopefully.
Well, like I said, he's there to be Paul's boyfriend for the most part. That's his, and then to die. That's his character role for season 1. Season 2, he's there to be the upset boyfriend and has very little real story in season 2. Season 3, he's there to be a counselor. That's it. And he was great. Yeah. But he was great. He was his best in season 3. But he was. And I always like my one-line and stop. It's true. But I think he should absolutely be the counselor. Like, does not suit the medicine angle. Doesn't quite have that vibe.
Well, yeah, like he's talked to Paul. He's talked to Giorgio. I love that conversation with Giorgio about yeah, he's
well, even Lorca reverse
psychology him.
Yeah, but you got him like trying to argue with him and etc.
Yeah.
But as you said, there's not enough storytelling in that show to even give them anything to do, let alone, for what limited they gave, say, Beverly by their first 3 seasons. You also had 60 episodes, a lot of medical based issues, and she came across, obviously, I guess seasons 1, 2, 1, 3, and 4, but she comes across very strong in her seasons because she has some stuff to do. Cobra is good when he's good, and a lot better in season 3, but it's not really a doctor.
120 people here, 92 likes, guys. Let's get to 100 likes. That's 8 more.
Come on, 100.
And by all means, I want you guys to spam the chat
yes.
right now with your favorite doctor. Just we've done it before, but just one word. I don't need explanation why.
Yes.
Okay. Caveat here: as a patient, who would you want if you were a patient as your doctor? And then we'll try again later with the captain thing, because it's a different feel because you're dealing with them on a professional level, and sure, you might want to have somebody that's going to be strong-headed and fight for what they want, but yeah, as a patient, who would you want treating you and taking care of you? Which sickbay would you like to be in? Only one of them was shagged by a ghost that we know of. Let's be fair. So we've got Bashir, the EMH, Phlox, EMH, Phlox, Pepper. Who's Pepper, Mark? Bashir, EMH, Bashir. A lot more people are saying EMH. Now, are you saying EMH because you know that he's probably got the biggest knowledge?
I mean, let's also be honest, though. The EMH solved the most medical problems that were the most radically difficult. I mean, hands down, because most of the Dominion War stuff, they're not doing medical stuff. So Bashir is not known for his... He's known for a couple, but not that many radical cures. Beverly's done quite a few. Phlox didn't get as many seasons, and McCoy didn't do as much doctoring. So the EMH solves way more medical things than probably McCoy, Phlox, and Pulaski combined. Like, probably the entire top tier. You know what I mean? That's just the nature of... There's a lot of medical stories in Voyager, and he's used a lot, and there's a lot of magic things. I mean, the fact that he can almost fully unassimilate somebody, very impressive.
Yeah.
And not just like Picard, who... But again, that was not done properly. Someone who's literally assimilated from a child, and he managed to de-assimilate her almost entirely, 7 of 9. very impressive. I'm sure Bashir could too, but he didn't get the chance to. So I think he solved the most medical stuff, hands down, hands down.
And Mark was referring to Dr. Pepper, the drink, I guess.
Oh, now it's funny.
Yes.
Now it's.
Yes. I'm surprised there's just so much EMHs on here because his bedside manner is not great. Well, I mean, when in the series, halfway through, he's not great. But...
It improves the most though, whereas Bashir's gets worse. EMH's gets better. By the end, he's lovely, like he's great. It's the first.
I don't think Bashir's gets worse at all. He's in a different mode when he's talking to a patient. Sure,
okay.
Outside of Sickbay, with what you're saying and the way you perceive him, I get what you're saying. But as far as a patient goes,
okay, I guess it's because in the last 2 seasons he does very little doctoring compared to other stuff. Like I associate him on the Bridge of the Defiant being very boring and talking, and like that's how I associated later him, because they're not doing medical stuff when they're in a big war a lot of the time. But you are right. He does go into, like, I remember one scene with Garrick, and he's like, I mean, I guess it's with Garrick, but yeah, I guess he has more modes. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll give you that. Which is the same for Pulaski, as we already argued.
Yes, absolutely. Now, somebody already put in the chat that they prefer the Enterprise D Sickbay. So, if you're going to be treated for an illness, which Sickbay would you want to be in? Got the NX-01. It's very bright and very much like a hospital.
It is. Yeah.
You get TOS, and it's not a great Sickbay, honestly. Let's be fair. Enterprise D has a fantastic one. Discoveries, again, feels very much like the NX-01s, which probably should. Very hospital-like. And then there's DS9, the Cardassian one, which actually feels kind of warm and like inviting, although I hate the pillows. Little triangle pillows. But
I mean, I would probably say the Enterprise D, but I always have a soft spot for Voyagers, although Voyager's also the E's, so it's kind of a 2 for 1.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Voyagers, sorry.
But the D, I don't know, it's nicer colours. But you are right, Bashir certainly has a warm hue.
A warm Hugh Colbert. What? Fleet Pass with back $2. I'd want to be treated in Voyager's Sickbay.
I love the bed. Dude.
Yeah,
that's great.
And the operating suite that can like have a force field go up. I mean, they all kind of have that a little bit. The NX-01 has the thing that's anyway. Yeah.
It's the unfortunate situation where they obviously were putting money into the idea of the Doctor as a character, and they built a really expensive set for Sickbay, so it feels more.
Well, he couldn't leave it for a long time.
Well,
so yeah.
Yes, boom, yeah, exactly. So whereas the Enterprise D set, like, it was a reuse from TMB they modified, which is already a little bit of a weak start in terms of money spent, and then it wasn't lit properly until season 2 to 3. It was great by the end, but it has very much limitations. Whereas like the engineering room feels big because it was, no, we're spending the money, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Voyager was like expensive from the get go.
So yeah. Okay, now switching gears then.
Ooh, yeah.
As a captain, who would you want on your medical staff as your CMO? Because that's a different feel than if you're a patient.
Very much so. Shall we swap it era? Shall we say TOS and post TNG? Like, same characters, but they're different. Like, because in TOS you're out on the frontier. TNG are not so much. Can we split that into 2?
Sure.
Because one, TOS, you're 5 years with the person. TNG, you can offload them to a starbase. You know what I mean? It's a different vibe.
I don't think it's quite that easy.
No, but it can be.
I'm with you for a week and I hate you. Let's set course to Starbase 327 right now.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the unseen adventures between seasons 1 and 2. He had been through 5 doctors.
Let's see. What would be my choice?
Well, let's start with TOS. Who'd be the good TOS one?
Honestly, for TOS, probably Phlox. And you can pick anybody from this list to be TOS,
Yes.
by the way, guys.
Yeah, with their skill
I'm just
set.
trying to. Who would I want to spend 5 years on a ship with?
It's also assuming with their ability set in that era. So it's all reset to what it should be. Phlox, okay.
Yeah. Phlox or Culber. I need somebody friendly that I can talk to and not be like gruff and miserable half the time, you know? Plus, you can learn new things from Phlox. So.
I would say Beverly, because she's more well-rounded.
Very well-rounded.
Damn it. That too. But I think the reason she's on Enterprise D. I mean, same thing. I think she fits more of the classical Doctor mold, which fits well in TOS. Just knowing what you're doing very well, and I felt with a smaller crew, she would get on with everybody, and she'd like the Doctor. Wow, that's a useful comment. Like McCoy, because only 250 people, whereas 1,000 to the Enterprise D, etc.
And ThinkPad says you broke 100 likes, fellas. Well done. I love you guys. Thank you very much, ThinkPad.
Love you too.
You're also saying earlier that when we asked for everybody to contribute in the chat, ThinkPad said this is a great community kind of thing. You guys are awesome. So good to see you, ThinkPad. I haven't seen the name before in the chat, so welcome.
It's a good name.
But, yeah.
Honorable name. Okay, so TNG, which is a bit more free flow.
Wow. That's actually a very tough question. I'd probably have to go with Bashir. And that's not knowing that he's genetically enhanced or anything. He's young, he's energetic, he wants to be out there doing things. That's why he picked DS9, because it was frontier medicine, essentially. A go-getter and somebody that's willing to, he's very ambitious, I guess. So I'd go with Bashir. He's probably easier to talk to too. Although when he gets determined, goddamn. I'll still go with Bashir, but yeah, Bashir.
Yeah. So yeah, the TNG, which is more experimental. Yeah, I would either go season 7 EMH or Bashir, because the Doctor is so variable that you have to be specific. Because I wouldn't want to necessarily have the journey of the EMH on my ship, but give me the end EMH, because useful as all hell. But otherwise Bashir, because he would do the most creative thinking, and I would want more creative thinking than Beverly if I was going out and doing stuff more radical in a world where, because in TOS you can't explore as much, and you don't explore as much, even though you feel like you are, but when you're slower you just don't go out as far, or as more weird and alien. So Bashir's definitely more varied with that. Well, I feel like Pulaski would be good for a starbase, running a big team, queen of a castle, I don't know why. I get a vibe of a, starbase chief for Pulaski.
I absolutely agree. with that.
And I would put Colbert on Earth if I was putting him anywhere, at the academy, one of the in-house lecturers, in-house doctor people, very chill, good talking to, don't know why, but on Earth.
All right, so as captain, we got EMH, Pulaski, still the EMH, Crusher.
Okay.
Bashir once again, McCoy in the Prometheus sickbay. What?
At Tanagra.
Let's see.
Bashir's a loose cannon, though. Yes, but sometimes you do need that. And also punish them afterwards if it's bad, but sometimes. You wouldn't call Beverly a loose cannon, would you?
No, I wouldn't. They've all gone rogue, though, at one point. They've all kind of gone against orders. Except for Colbert and Tiana, but... And Boyce. Anybody that's had any screen time has gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does it?
All right, let's see what we got here. Ronan Fahy, €5. Enterprise D Sickbay was the same set as used for the observation lounge for the first season or two, but still the best set.
Mm.
I
Mm-mm.
don't.
Mm-mm.
I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, they have a similar wall cutout area, but they would not want to repopulate that every time. No, I would. It certainly wasn't later on, and they didn't build the set again, so they just
Yeah.
added to it.
Fleet Pass with back $2. 105 likes. Awesome. Can we do 125? We're 110 now, so another 15 would be great. So if you can, please do, guys. Matt Boardman, $5. Not sure what it was, but to me, they seem to really struggle to tell a really good Crusher story on TNG. Yeah, they had a lot of potential too with the interest in Picard and the dead husband and the kid. They had a lot to work with her, and it just never was a. I mean, the closest was probably the host with the Trill, Dr. Beverly, which could have been stretched over like a season, a couple episodes or whatever. Would have been better, I think. But no, I kind of agree, Matt. And now, like, let's another thing in the chat. We're gonna do another chat spam. Who out of all these doctors would cure COVID the fastest? EMH reconfigured to look like Crusher for the win. Wow.
Okay, for season 1 then, they didn't spend much time in there. And they hauled it into the rafters. Huh.
Oh, really?
Okay, so season 1 and then season 2.
Wow, that's surprising.
But it would be mostly 1 though. Like you don't use Sickbay area as much. That seems odd to me, given the fact there was also a retake from TMP. That's weird. Maybe just the individual elements.
So who would cure COVID fastest? EMH. Fastest vaccine would be Bashir. Bashir. Phlox would have a bat in a cage to experiment on. For COVID, Bashir or the EMH. See, EMH and Bashir are kind of the ones that are popping up the most for most of these questions, which is interesting. Pulaski gets it done faster, but only after infecting herself. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a really interesting one.
Most of these doctors would do that, though. Most doctors would, and yeah. And we haven't said much about McCoy. Like McCoy tried the Miri thing on himself. Got the dosage a little wrong, but anyway. I don't know. I just hate people that automatically default to best doctor McCoy. Okay, why is that? Because a friend of mine messaged me before this started and says, obviously the answer is McCoy. And I'm like, 1000% disagree. So.
And I would easily default to EMH would solve the crisis quickest because he's got the most. I mean, obviously, season 7 Doctor. As soon as a certain year goes by, the EMH is way more experienced than Bashir, just because he's done so much more in his career. But that's again specific versions of each character. They all evolve. Well, Beverly doesn't evolve that much. Let's be fair. And McCoy actually devolves from knowing about Klingons to not knowing about Klingons. But also blood changes, so they're obviously confusing Klingons. Yeah. What was the other comment you said about? Oh yeah, McCoy being the best one. Is he the most distinct character? He probably is, but that's because he's being a character, not a doctor most of the time. Like as a character outside of being a doctor, I mean. Like they've all got character, but they're all more intertwined with their profession. Bones is very much a character and a doctor. What do you think?
I guess. I think I know what you're trying to say there.
Because Beverly is very much a doctor and a woman, and a couple of little other things, but she's really a doctor first. Phlox is a doctor, like through and through, but he's a weird doctor. That's him. Bashir is a doctor and an energetic young man that loves weird shit, but he's still a doctor primarily, because he loves doctoring. He loves it. EMH is a dickhead, but he's by definition a doctor.
But he's the very definition of a doctor. 'Cause
Yes.
That's specifically his purpose.
But McCoy, he's a doctor and a grumpy old man and a drinker and a friend and a confidant and you know what I mean? You can keep saying stuff because they do a lot of non-doctory scenes with him. He's more distinct by himself. I even retires at one point and grows a beard. You know, have you seen the 80s medallion? No one else has a look they can pull it, a look pull it off. I don't know. It's a very fine line. I'm obviously just going by what someone else said there, but I think I can kind of get there. Martin.
Yeah.
Damn it, Sam, I'm a doctor, not a character. That's funny.
112 likes, guys. We got to hit 120 if we can. So let's get another 8 likes. That'd be great.
And I think we're gently starting to wrap up now. So if we can get, like I said, 18 likes, $13. I love 23, but 13 is good for me.
Yeah.
So it's been a nice discussion. Like I said at the start, like those bottom 5 were on a much closer level than the commanders were, and those middle 3 again much closer, and those 2, Bashir and EMH, are very, very close. So it's a far more distinct, than the other ones where it was all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different debate.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the first officer debate, we gleaned a little more information about what they were doing previously than we did in this one.
Yep.
I thought this conversation might spark something like that, but
it has just less of it. But remember, all these doctors started and were doctors. The second in command were like, were they pilots? Were they engineers? These were all doctors and then doctors. There's no other career path for a doctor except a doctor. So obviously it's a bit more,
3 more likes, guys. And ThinkPad says, I've been here before, fellas. I just normally listen is all. Cheers. Well, thank you for contributing and getting your voice out there. We appreciate seeing you guys, everybody that watches us. So thank you.
Consider saying hi more often. Your 2 cents, figuratively, just saying hi, is worth something for sure.
Yeah. And the last super chat hyperspray is available. Anybody want to inject us with a super chat for that last dose, please do so. Call it the last dose super chat today.
But yeah, $13 would be phenomenal. 23 would be even better, obviously. But math. I'm mathing.
And 2 more likes. So.
Yes, which should be easy.
Now here's I guess a speculation question. Do we think that Dr. Boyce is going to be the character in Strange New Worlds, or do you think it's going to be Dr. Piper? Because, like I said, Dr. Piper carried over into Where No Man's Gone before McCoy got there. So, or will there be a trade-off halfway through the show? I'm betting on Dr. Boyce, personally. But, and if they could get Jeffrey Combs, man, that'd be amazing. Gotta say.
I just think they'll be inclined to move on from that and not even refer to it, I'll be honest.
Oh, I disagree.
Yeah, that's just my gut reaction.
Okay, fair enough. Well, that's another spam the chat thing for the audience, because I'm running out of things to say. So, do you think it's going to be Dr. Piper or Dr. Boyce in Strange New Worlds, guys? Go. Or somebody else. I don't think they're going to introduce a new character, honestly.
Oh, it depends if they have the same ship or not.
And it actually surprises me that there's only like so few female doctors. I don't know if that was deliberate. 2 of them are on the Enterprise D, and then there's the one on the Discovery.
And Lodex.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know.
Although in fairness, here I have included 2 one-offs. In fairness, which if you took them out of the equation, it's a bit more balanced. Because even the Discovery lady has been in many, just not overly meaningful. But so if you take those 2 out, which I think is fair to do, you've got 1, 2, 3 ladies and 5 gents, which then isn't as far off.
Yeah. Mario says someone else. Anton says a new character. Joseph says, "Why not a new character?" Sango says, "Neither. They'll forget." So yeah, people don't have a lot of faith that Dr. Boyce or Piper will appear in Strange New Worlds, which is interesting.
Honestly, I'd rather see Dr. Matumba. Again, if that was his name, I think that'd be more, because he was just had a more interesting vibe.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, he'd have to be a lower grade surgeon man, but I'm fine with being on the ship for a while. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be down for that for sure.
Like a young Matumba is Mr. Clever at what he does.
Jude, I don't think so. No. Jude says, given that we don't know how long Denobulans live, can we see Phlox in Stranger Worlds? Maybe one-off episode. Maybe a one-off. Like, that's the thing. So many characters can show up just to say hi. Even Archer probably could. I don't know how old Archer would be at this point, but goddamn.
Yeah, we've said that in Discovery, obviously, and that was even earlier, especially with if you consider the first episode, etc. It's sad they didn't. I mean, Jodie and Baylock. I mean, she would still be alive, just old.
Yeah.
Doable. I mean, hey, why haven't they even? You know, well, it's a little bit hard to do now, but they should, easily show a hologram of Archer in Picard, etc. Or I guess in Discovery now with the 32nd century. Not that hard. Yeah.
Forgotten like Gary Mitchell. Yeah. So no last super chat hyper sprays.
Still one more like though.
One more like. You guys can do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's it does definitely show the Doctors are in general stronger characters a lot of the time, and they all have pretty unique quirks. They did a good job in the bottom 5 being genuinely unique characters. Mm-hmm. Well done them.
Yeah. Yeah. 121 likes. Woohoo, we hit it. Sweet. Sorry, guys. I'm just burnt out.
I had a 2-hour meeting before this. I've been talking non-stop on video chat for 4 hours now. Well, 3.5.
Yeah.
Fun times. Fun times.
$5. I give Pulaski an honorable mention. She cured things with chicken soup and knew what a splint was. Yes, there you go. I guess Fleetpaw's got a last. Oh no, Matt Boardman, $5 hypo spray of Happy Juice Snipe. Oh, thank you, Matt. That's awesome.
Sounds a bit gross, doesn't it? Really.
It does, yeah.
Oh dear. But fair.
Happy juice.
Now it'll be interesting when I'm sure we're gonna do more of these then to look at best chief engineer, etc. Because that's certainly the second in commands were tricky because they weren't necessarily as innately talented. Like they're good in different, like they're there to command, not to be good at one thing. These guys are talented mother effers because that's kind of the whole point. So it'll be interesting when we start to go into these other debates. Although, do the best counselor. It's like
it'll be Guinan versus Troy next time. I'm on Trekyards.
Oh no, it'll be Guinan versus Quark versus Troy versus Culber. It's like
versus Neelix.
Yeah. That's great.
Oh.
That's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. What do we got? Oh, Mr. Miles is here. Good to see you, Mr. Miles.
Hey.
$2. Please state the nature of the medical emergency. Hosts flagging, one from talking too much, one from just being exhausted physically and mentally. So, Sergeant Montgomery, $2. Super hypo spray. DJ Ray, $5. Mega super hypo spray.
Oh wow, I feel itchy with all these hypo sprays. Goodness.
You're gonna grow a third arm or something. What are you guys putting in this stuff?
Nice. That's awesome though, guys. And we'll do a live at some point. I'll tune in for Anti-Trekkers part 2 debate on Saturday. See what happens. And we'll both be able to think better when we can think better.
Yeah. We might have a live tomorrow. We're not sure yet, so just stay tuned, guys.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
on that positive note,
Mm-hmm.
he's Commander Cockings.
Any more super chats just to make sure you're up to date?
Oh my God, Fleet Boss back $2. What are you doing in my sickbay, Snipe?
There we go. He's Captain Foley.
Anyway, yes, he's Commander Cockings. I'm Captain Foley. Neither one of us is a doctor. Computer, deactivate EMH or deactivate Trekyards host program. I don't know what to call it.
Oh,